You're up.
All right. This is the DG podcast. This is episode 136, part B.
I gotta
I
get some
don't.
volume on this.
Okay.
Nah, keep going.
Rhett is going to be playing Dark Souls while we goof around. So,
I've been
Dark
playing
Souls
this
2,
a
excuse
lot.
me.
Scholar of the First Sin edition, by the way.
That's an interesting title for the game, Scholar of the First Sin.
Well, Dark Souls classically has a thing where they like to sort of give you little bits of information as time goes on. And when they refer to the first sin, they refer to the first sin by the original God of Light in the first game is what it's referring to.
I just think it's kind of funny because it's like it implies that someone studied it. You know what I mean?
There is a scholar, I can't remember what his name is, but he's a giant burning tree. And he has all the information. I gotta adjust the volume. Nope,
nice. So you've been playing, obviously, at least for this round, you're playing Scholar of the First Sin. Anything else going on?
So I've been playing Dark Souls 2.
Right.
I've also been playing, and I did get more into it. I've been playing Dragon Age Inquisition. As far as Dark Souls 2, I played the original version all the way through up until the last boss and the King Vendrick. And you don't have to kill King Vendrick, but if you kill him, you get his stuff. And if you play New Game Plus, you keep his stuff as you go on through into the next one. So there's some unique equipment that you only get by beating certain characters. So there are some NPCs that are just like good NPCs and you can't get their stuff unless you kill them. So a lot of the time, people will get all the way to the end of the game and then kill those NPCs just before they beat it.
So they can have that gear.
Have a massacre of like all the shopkeepers and stuff. Which is just horrifying, but it works. And then you get all their stuff, and then you go into New Game Plus, and you have all that extra like gear that's rare that you only get from them starting into the next game.
And they're still alive, so you can get more gear the next time around.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's not going to mean anything because you beat it and you're done, and then you roll into New Game Plus.
Yeah.
So I got all the way to the end, and I couldn't beat King Vendrick. I just had trouble with him. So now I'm playing Scholar of the First Sin Edition, which has all the DLC. And I've beaten the first two DLC, and I'm on the third one. And after I finish all the DLC, all I'll have left is the final boss and King Vendrick again.
The final boss of the DLC?
The final boss of the entire game. I haven't beaten the third DLC yet, and the third DLC has like 2-3 bosses anyway.
Okay.
So I have the entirety, basically, of the Ivory King DLC, as well as Vendrick and the final boss.
Okay. So, do you have to kill King Vendrick? Is there...
No, I just want his stuff.
You just want his stuff?
Yeah. Which is why I joined the Dark... whatever secret group or whatever that they call them. Not because I'm evil, but because they have extra mission areas that I can go to.
So you have more things that you can get because
there are 3 separate areas you can do if you join the I don't remember. Why can't I remember what they're called? They're little groups you can join.
Cool.
But there's a dark one I barely joined just so I could get into their area.
So you could do their quests?
Guy.
Yeah. Anything else you've been doing?
Dragon Age Inquisition. I finally figured out that game.
Oh, yeah?
So gameplay is actually decent.
Okay.
I think my initial assessment is the same, where it's improved on and done worse than some of the stuff that they did in the past.
So they've improved, but in some ways they've backslid a bit.
Well, here's the problem.
Okay.
They start you out in this initial area, very story driven, and like this rift is opening and crap is happening, and you're showing up and you're helping out.
Okay.
And that sparks off this whole thing where, oh, we're making a group called the Inquisition, and you're super in charge, and you're just this random guy who came out of nowhere, and you're like, okay.
No explanation needed.
Well, it's like the events
You're
of
in
the first
charge.
game happened, and you helped, and now they're like, well, Inquisition stuff, and we're creating this whole new faction that's going to do its own thing. You're like, all right. And we need you to be a part of it because you're so important in junk. And I'm like, all right.
But they don't do a real good explanation on why.
Well, they do. It's just sort of, it happens really quick. It's like, imagine you were standing around and you were the only person that could help in some situation, and you helped, and all of a sudden you're a 5-star general. And you're like, I don't know if I should be in charge, or
Kind of like Empire Strikes Back, where they're like, General Solo, have you got your team together? And you're like, what? Wait,
Why
when
is he a
did he get
general?
promoted all the way to general?
He's some hobo in space. Why is he a general? And so what happens is you go into the main. I'm trying to get summoned into this mission so I can fight with people, but it's not working.
Who was that dude that just walked past?
Sometimes there are ghosts of other players actually playing.
Well, I remembered that you could break into other people's games with Dark Souls, the original one.
Yeah,
and
you do the same thing.
It's annoying to me when you're sitting there playing and for some reason there's another character that pops up and you're like, crap, get out of my game. I'm trying to play here. And all he wants to do is like fight for your stuff. I'm like, seriously?
Well,
You
they
don't have something better to do with your time?
what he's probably faction. That's what it's called. What he's probably trying to do is max out his faction, and the only way he can do that is beat people in PvP. So he's invading you just to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
So the problem is you get thrown out into the main game in Dragon Age Inquisition, and you're doing it, and it's great or whatever, and it's hard to penetrate. It's not very linear. It's all of a sudden super open, and you're not entirely sure what you're supposed to be doing. Because it's like, okay, linear beginning area, and then they're like, oh, we're creating this group called the Inquisition. We're going to do all these other things. Get ready for this stuff.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. Moving on. So I'm like, okay. And then they give you this map, and they're like, look at this map. There are missions on this map. Go to these areas. This, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot of information. I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be doing, but okay, I'll click on this area on the map, and I'll move on into this new. Okay, we'll do that. And then all of a sudden you're out in the map, and you're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just wandering around. Apparently I have a quest. I don't know how to find it on the map. Where is the map area? They really didn't explain anything. And the game is one of those games that's so open that is somewhat of a detriment because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And as soon as you start to figure out what's supposed to be happening and how things are supposed to be functioning and where you're supposed to be going, the game makes more sense and it's a lot easier to get into. It makes the story less interesting because you just sort of do one quest after another, and when you do like main story quests, you're just sort of like, eh. I just did a bunch of other quests that were similar and I don't care. But the game does actually start to make sense and be more entertaining as soon as you actually figure out how you're supposed to be playing it, where you're supposed to be going, how to manage your quests, how to do all those other things. And then it's not so bad. So I finally gotten past that point, and so I'll play a bit every day to sort of progress a bit farther into the game. And I'm just doing main quests. I'm just doing quests around like the main first area they send you to.
Okay.
And so I'll just, here's an area, or here's a quest, I'll do that and just jump around. But it's a massive area. Like the area you get dropped into, it's like the first area is just huge, and you're wandering around, and there are apparently multiple areas like that, and it's just, it's like giving you the ability to give you like a, open-ended sandbox games.
Right.
Almost like a Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Now imagine that, but you have a big area, and there's a lot to do in the area, and there's so many quests, and there are little towns and stuff. And then you go to another area, and it's just as big, and it's another area, and it's different, etc., etc. And then you go to another area, and it's just as big. So it's like they're not as big as one big open-ended game, but they're like multiple large sandboxes to play around in.
Uh-huh.
And that's sort of what they're doing with this one, which is similar to how they handled Dark Souls 1. Whereas in Dark Souls 2, they gave you these areas and the impression that there was a lot of stuff to do, but really it was just linear as crap. It was. At least one of the characters from the second game was in the third one. There's actually a character from the first game in the third one now, too.
Huh.
Leandra, or whatever her name is.
And which one is she again?
The redhead. Remember in the very beginning, she's like a religious chick and she has a bow.
Oh, you mean Dragon Age?
Yeah, the first one.
I thought you'd start talking about Dark Souls again.
No. Yeah, she's in Inquisition.
Right.
And there's this dwarf from Dragon Age 2 who's in the third one as well.
You can totally, if you're a jerk, make her question her faith and leave it.
Yeah. This giant,
I remember that.
like, armored guy went to go kill me and he fell off. Which is good for me. I got,
Was it like the dude you're waiting to kill? Or was it somebody that broke into your game?
No, I just moved into another area.
Oh.
It's just this big armored dude, and he's like, oh, we're going to have this big fight or whatever. Gosh, I'm playing poorly.
And you pushed him off the ledge?
I didn't. I just walked past him, and he accidentally fell off.
That's funny. Yeah, anyway. Anything else going on with you?
Still trying to watch Claymore. Been watching Pacific. I feel like I'm missing something.
That's what I always feel like.
It's like I did something cool or whatever, and I can't remember. Like nerdy related, but I just don't.
On Earth was it?
Yeah, I'll think of it later. But that's pretty much it.
Nice. So, couple things. I've been playing Arkham City still. It's kind of... I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Fantastic game, isn't it?
The interesting thing about it is that...
And then you get those stupid things where people are like, oh, it's not as good as Arkham Asylum. I was like, it's so much bigger.
Yeah. And the thing is that they, it's like they don't understand. In this case, bigger is better.
Yeah. There's so much city to go through, and there's so much stuff to explore, and you're like, dude, I'm in Gotham. I'm super in Gotham right now.
I mean, you may not be like... exploring all of Gotham City, but in this case, you don't really need to.
It's basically old Gotham.
Yeah. And, I mean, they could do the whole city and stuff. Oh, that's kind of nice that you're, like, totally totally below his sword.
Yeah, on the staircase.
Yeah.
You see, you'll see this later, but you see this little area straight ahead in this tower? There's this tiny circle inside of there. If I go all the way down there, there's a boss in there, and I can fight him, and I fight him on that tiny circle, and I can fall off the edges. And there's a way to make it easier. You find these little switches, like the one I'm in front of, and I'm going to pull it. And when you pull it, it makes that circle bigger, and there's like 3 of them. And if you get all of them, then you can't fall off the little boss fight area.
Nice.
But if you watch it, it'll raise it up, and it'll make that circle in the middle bigger.
Nice. So
actually, there are only 2, maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, there's ways to make it so you don't fall off while you're fighting the boss.
Yeah, it's quite challenging to fight that guy in a small, tiny area, though. I can tell you that.
Been playing Arkham, like I said. I've progressed quite far on the main quest. It's kind of interesting the way that it works. You know what I mean? There's when you like pause to check out what you're doing and stuff in the game. There's like main quest and like completed. Did you fall off?
Yeah, I couldn't see what was behind me, and I just walked off of it.
That's annoying. So I'm like 80. Total. I'm like
sick. That's a thing.
Like 30% done. You know what I mean?
Right, but you're mostly done with the main quest.
But
so
I'm
it's
like
just so much to
80%
do.
done with the main quest.
And in fact, there are quests that occur after the main one is over.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
you
there's
can't
so
finish
much
it
content.
until you're finished with the main.
Yeah, there's just so much content going that's in this game that it's amazing how thorough um, they've done things in this. They've just included a lot of content, a lot of characters, um, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. The other thing, there's a couple of kind of interesting things that I found out about recently. We went over the movies or not movies, the video games that are coming out in 2016 a while back, and we were talking about which ones that we were like
I'm
wanting to
getting
play
worse.
and looking forward to and all that stuff.
I'm
Well,
getting worse.
huh? What was that?
I'm getting worse at this game.
So,
My timing's off for these bosses. Not
that
these
always
bosses,
sucks
these
when you can't
basic
get
enemies.
the timings right on them.
Well,
So,
they have a delay swing, so I'll roll and then they'll hit me,
right
which
as you're
doesn't do
coming
me
up.
any good.
Um, so we talked about this. Okay, so at work, my boss wants us to do a newsletter every week so we keep track of the students better.
That's stupid.
And so I've been putting things in about upcoming video game releases and stuff, upcoming movies. Well, Bombshell is supposed to be coming out this week, and we mentioned it, but neither of us really knew much about it. Evidently, Bombshell was supposed to be a sequel to Duke Nukem. The studio that's developing it, they were totally going to make Duke Nukem whatever. I think it was Mass Destruction or something like that.
Does
And
Gearbox own it now?
Gearbox owns it, which is why it's not Duke Nukem.
Not an official Duke
Uh-huh.
Nukem game.
See, what happened was this Bombshell
It's like
chick-
with that second Fallout game was coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
Remember that? Where
Remind me.
Fallout 3 was being developed.
Oh, yeah.
And the studio that I think originally had it or something was making an MMO at the same time. And they're like, well, we only sold you the rights for the whatever, we can make an MMO. And they're like, no, we own the rights for Fallout. So they were going to make their own Fallout game or something because they were under the impression they still had the rights to it. And they did not because they sold it. And there was this big, like, hullabaloo. And eventually they found that, yeah, Bethesda super bought that. Or it wasn't Bethesda. Who makes Fallout? Is it Bethesda?
It could be Bethesda. That
Yeah,
sounds
I think
right.
it's Bethesda.
Let's see. Bethesda Softworks, yeah.
Yeah. Fallout and Skyrim and whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, what ended up happening was the studio that was trying to do this Duke Nukem, they introduced a character, this Bombshell character. She was supposed to be like a supporting character. She's a bomb technician turned mercenary. She was supposed to be in the Duke Nukem game. And then the studio got in trouble with Gearbox because Gearbox is like, no, we own Duke Nukem. You can't make a Duke Nukem game. And so they went back to the drawing board and redid everything. And what we're getting is Bombshell.
Huh.
And it's she's, like I said, a bomb technician turned mercenary, and she has to save the president and the human race from an alien menace.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
No pressure.
yeah. So that's coming out this week. And then the other thing that's kind of funny, so Destiny is not an MMO.
People
Or at least
desperately want it to be, but it is definitely not.
Or at least that's what. Oh shoot! Who does Destiny? Bungie.
BioWare, Bungie.
Bungie keeps telling people that Destiny
I
is
should not be alive right now.
not an MMO. They keep saying, everybody's playing it like it's an MMO and demanding new content, and Bungie's like, no, it's not an MMO.
It's
And
hard
yet,
to keep people interested in constantly playing when
uh-huh,
there's no constant content, which is what people expect from MMOs. But
right. But the funny thing is that they keep doing things like it's an MMO. Seriously. They just announced in the last couple of days that they're doing a Valentine's themed event for
I think I heard about that.
for next month.
It's like Destiny has a Valentine's theme or whatever. I'm like, oh, sweet.
They did a Halloween thing. No, not Christmas. They did a Halloween thing. It was oh shoot, Destiny Halloween. Oh, let's see, event. There we go. It was called. Oh shoot. I don't even see where it talks about what it's called. Let's see if I can find it. This is all great stuff. I'm trying to find this thing here.
Destiny. The
Yeah.
game I will never play because of mysterious reasons.
So they did this thing for. It's like. Oh. Name. Come
These
on,
white
give me the name.
knights that are just sort of sitting here.
Festival of the Lost.
I can fight them, but they won't bother me.
Which ones?
These white knights that are just sitting here, they're all over the place.
Oh,
I
they're
could
just sitting
fight
on the
them.
ground?
Yeah, I could fight them, but they won't actually bug me.
Uh-huh.
But if I
What are
fight
they?
them, I think they're called Haid Knights. They're extremely tough enemies.
Uh-huh.
But they don't care. I think they've given up on life.
Nice. So anyway,
Depression souls.
they came out with this thing called
Oh, there's the other switch.
Festival of the Fallen, and you got masks and other rewards for the thing, and it's like, no, we're not an MMO. Then why on earth are you doing these themed events for holidays? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I said,
it's giving people mixed signals.
yeah. Like I said, they're doing a thing for Valentine's Day. It's the Crimson something or other. I can probably find that one actually faster than the other one because I've got the Destiny app on my phone that gives me stuff. It's called the Crimson. Let's
Something
see.
or another.
Crimson Days. And what they're doing is they're theming everything around couples. So the PvP and stuff won't be traditional PvP that they've done before, which it's like fire teams of 3. It limits it down to 4, or 2 on each side. So that's what they're doing, and it's just so funny to me that they keep saying, no, we're not an MMO, but they keep doing these things that contradict their statement. You know what I mean?
They have to keep people playing, like any MMO does.
Yeah. And they do. And that's the thing. It's like, if this isn't an MMO, why is there so much emphasis on teams and PvP and these events that are supposed to get people interested in the game? So, yeah, anyway. Now, you've heard us complain about Star Wars The Force Awakens. And, yes, a lot of things. This time, we're kind of going back to Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I know that we've complained about this quite a bit before. But the thing is that I was searching around on the internet, and I came across this thing. I summoned
this chick called Guinevere.
Let's see. Oh, there's summoned Phantom Guinevere. There you go. I see that now. It's called the Universal Mary Sue Litmus Test. And I decided that what we should do is apply this to Rey. Because there's all this stuff. What's his name? that came out first and said that Ray was Mary Sue? What's his name
Max
again?
Landon.
Max Landon, yeah. Max Landis.
Max Landis, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a famous father who's like a director or something.
So anyway, he comes out and he says Mary Sue. He calls Ray a Mary Sue, and there's all this backlash against him.
I swear, I've seen at least 3 articles written on Kotaku trying to defend her as not a Mary Sue.
Yeah, if she really
that's
wasn't,
how butthurt Kotaku is about the whole thing.
If she really wasn't a Mary Sue, there would be no need to write 3 articles about it.
Apparently there is.
So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this thing. Some of these questions I can't answer and don't really apply, but the criteria for it is pretty well developed. It's if you score between if you score 50 points or over, and this is a huge list. It's not something small, but if you score 50 points or higher, the character is almost certainly a Mary Sue, and a bad one, according to them. The odds that the character, on the odd chance that the character isn't, it's most likely you didn't read the instructions properly. So, yeah. So anyway, this first part applies to everything. The thing is that the guy who wrote this broke it out into 5 separate sections. One is for all characters. So no matter what setting you're in, you go through these questions. The second part is an original fan fiction character. So if you're doing a fan fiction, those apply. These wouldn't apply to Ray because she's not an original fan fiction. Part 3 is a fan character and newcomer. Ray is a newcomer, so we can apply those to her. Part 4 is for RPG characters. Again, Ray's not an RPG, but the 5th part applies to her as well. They're called de-suifiers. So you answer those questions, and if they apply, they subtract from the final score. I've gone through the first part only, and Ray scores 135 so far.
Do we want to go through a bunch of the questions and see how we answer them?
Well, that's what I want to do. Some of these, like, is your character's name a variation of your own? That doesn't apply here because, is the character based on your looks? Doesn't apply. Does your character...
Is the character J.J. Schmayfrom?
Yeah. Is the character illustrated and depicted as looking especially beautiful, handsome, or cute with little or no effort?
Yes.
Well, I think there's one...
She lives like a hobo on a desert planet and is still attractive.
I think there's... well, yeah, actually, we'll include that because... there's actually another section.
We're destroying this guy with all 3 of us.
Does anyone become distracted or
Heroes show up
raptured
with
by the
multiple
character's
people.
looks? So far, not that I can tell.
What do you mean?
Well, does anyone become distracted or enraptured by the character's looks?
Finn
so far,
yeah. He's super into her.
Yeah, but
he even asks her. He barely knows her and asks her to leave with him to travel the galaxy on a freighter because it's not worth getting involved in all that stuff.
That's true.
He's super into her.
But it doesn't distract him from what he wants to do at first.
Guinevere's cool. She's a cool lady.
Let's see. People don't talk to her about how beautiful she is.
No.
Okay, so let's see. A great body and physique, which you describe, show, or illustrate in detail.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this one is good. Is your character strong enough to wield a huge weapon like a warhammer, giant gun, or huge sword, yet has waifish figure instead of unattractive, bulging muscles?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, obviously she's not wielding a huge weapon, but she wields a lightsaber against a man with pretty much the same strength.
I run into with women in action movies. Because I don't have a problem with women in action roles. They're awesome and they can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But you always have these really attractive thin ladies. Like, what's her name that played Tomb Raider?
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Really scrawny lady. Her arms are like toothpicks. They're just tiny, tiny things. And she will be in an action movie and she'll just be punching guys out. Just knocking them out. And I was like, you can't generate enough force, lady. Like... I mean, it might be something if she was like Ronda Rousey, but she is not Ronda Rousey.
Right.
She's built like a toothpick.
Right.
So there's no way she can do it. And there have been some movies like Serenity, the Firefly movie,
Yeah.
where they had a female character, but she fought more like a dancer. And
Right.
she was actually cast because she was a dancer. The
Summer Glau.
Summer Glau for the movie.
Yeah.
And it looked really good, and it worked really well, and I loved it. I thought it was one of the best setups I've ever seen for a woman to be really physically tough. But
Right.
it made sense. She fought a lot more elegant. But don't give me this tiny, like, 5'4" chick punching a 300-pound man in the face and he just falling over. I'm sorry, I don't
He's
buy
going
it.
down.
I don't buy it.
Okay, let's
And
see.
maybe that makes me misogynist, but I don't care.
Do other characters find your character extremely attractive, desirable, even when, in this case, she could be completely gross and icky after battling, getting tortured, going days without bathing or washing? Yeah.
I would say it's not overtly... she's not overtly expressed as, like, a sex symbol at all.
Right.
But I would say yes, because Finn is super into her. Like,
Well,
even after stuff happens, he's like, oh, like, I gotta rescue her because I barely met her in Reasons.
Well, not only that, but I take this to she's in the Starkiller base. Kylo Ren is trying to get the information out of her and stuff. She's going through this thing, and she escapes, and she still looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's like goes through horrible things and walks out still somewhat attractive, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
not
Let's
even
see.
a blemish. Come on, you guys.
Has your character been in a lot of physical fights and or battles, but doesn't have many noticeable scars to show for it?
Yes,
Uh,
she was barely harmed.
This says, don't select this if they have healing technology or magic is readily available that allows for healing without scars. In this case, she grows up on a desert planet and doesn't have access to that, and yet she's perfectly fine.
Well,
I'm
she goes
pretty
through
sure.
she goes through a lot of stuff, and as far as I can tell, really never got hurt.
Yeah, that too.
Like, did she ever get hurt besides like superfluous sort of like
Superficially,
minor damage?
yeah.
Like,
I
oh,
don't
she
know.
sort of got punched, but there was no real damage because of the punch or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, she got tortured, but there's no like results of the torture. She just still looks fine. They might have strategically placed some dirt on her face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looks
like,
smudged,
I
but it all
went through
comes
some
off.
stuff. Like, I gotta
Okay.
wash my complexion.
Yeah. Is your character impervious to any of the normal limitations or weakness of her species? I would say yes, because she doesn't seem to... She's, like I said, she goes toe-to-toe with Kylo Ren. Lightsaber duel and doesn't have any problems with it.
I think they're suggesting, like, can she run harder and faster than any normal person should? Can she, you know what I
Maybe.
mean?
This
Can she do
says...
physical things, I guess, than any normal person should be able to?
maybe we shouldn't include this one. It does have a thing such as... It explains it, such as a vampire immune to garlic, a Kryptonian immune to kryptonite, or a human who cannot get drunk no matter how much moonshine they consume.
Wait, yes. Because she's a Jedi who can do things without training.
Yeah. Well,
She's
this
a
is...
Force user that can do things Jedi can do without any training.
She said the next one is, does your character belong to an exotic or unusual race or species with powers / abilities beyond human, or whatever normal, most common shown species, race, and story is? She has access to the Force, which most people don't.
But she's not an unusual species.
I guess that's true. So we'll take that one off. She's not a crossbreed. Let's see. Doesn't belong to, that doesn't. Does your character become a genetically, scientifically, cybernetically, supernaturally, or magically altered enhanced being, possibly with new powers and or better looks?
Read that again.
Does your character become a genetically, scientifically, cybernetically, supernaturally, or magically altered / enhanced being, possibly with new powers and or better looks?
Become one, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, this next question, okay, so is she happier this way?
No.
Okay. Do people like her better this way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Do you
wouldn't say
wish
she's happier, though.
Yeah, probably not, because she's kind of crying at the end.
Yeah, she doesn't seem into it. Like she doesn't embrace it until the end.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You see what my point? Like
Yeah.
she's not really into being a force user until later, where she's like, yeah, I'm going to use it now.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you wish it would happen to you?
Me personally,
Yeah, I guess so.
as the viewer or reader or whatever,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's see.
absolutely. I
Now,
wish I could just have no Jedi training and suddenly have powers and just dominate everybody. Absolutely.
I'm checking this one off, but not because I think it, but because I think it applies to her. It's,
Okay.
do you think of your character as a role model? I don't personally think of her
I
as a
think
role
most
model,
people would say yes.
but people do say it. Yeah. Let's see.
She isn't written specifically to be a role model, except for the very obvious PC example of a strong female character.
Yeah.
It's like it shouldn't be, hey, this is a strong female character, she's immediately a role model, but she absolutely is. Because every time there's a strong female character, every little girl or woman or PC individual in the world comes out defending her like she needs it. See, that's the funny thing. If she was a strong female character, she wouldn't need people defending her. Because she would
That's
be
true.
a strong female that
Yeah.
wouldn't need it.
Okay, so are the rules of the universe bent or broken for your character?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Everybody else has to have Jedi training, but for some reason she doesn't. Let's
She
see.
does things without trying.
Uh-huh.
She's immediately like able to dodge things and do things. It's like the luck factor that some characters have, where it's like you can't define why they're able to do everything. They're just really lucky.
Yeah. So this next one, I have some motivation behind it, behind checking it. It says, does anyone quickly and readily bestow gifts, goodies, and luxuries upon your character that aren't mandated by local norms of etiquette, or if they are mandated by norms of etiquette, are much nicer or more extravagant than considered necessary? I said
Absolutely.
yes.
The
And the reason
lightsaber.
yeah, the lightsaber.
Yeah. Like, nobody normally just gives people lightsabers. And for no apparent reason, she walks in and they're like, here you go. Here's basically Darth Vader's lightsaber.
Yeah. Are any of
One
the
of the
gifts...
most powerful individuals ever to exist. Here's his super weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Are any of the gifts items that have personal significance or sentimental value to whoever gives them to your character, and the gifters have only known the character for a short time?
Yeah.
Yeah. If your character is gifted with some kind of high quality and or high powered weapon or item, is it given without your character first having shown that she is capable of using it effectively and responsibly?
Absolutely.
Totally. Do any of the characters do...
She walked in a room and this chick looked at her and was like, you need this legendary lightsaber.
Yeah. It's Luke's
Oh, okay.
lightsaber. You need it.
Well, it was Anakin's lightsaber.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's why it's freaking important. It's like, this was Anakin's lightsaber.
Let's see.
Luke
This
has
next...
his green one, and Luke had that blue one for a while, but...
Yeah. Well, Obi-Wan Kenobi gave him Anakin's lightsaber. Said this one belonged to your father.
Yeah. Before
but yeah.
he became a mass murderer and a killer of children.
Yeah. Let's see. Do any of the characters doing the giving rarely, if ever, just give nice or fancy things to other people? She runs a bar. What would she be doing giving fancy things away to... It's how she makes money. She does.
I
She
don't know.
charges
It's
for it.
implied that she has some sort of depth of background.
Yeah.
That she's more important. There was some deleted scenes where apparently she had gone to... Because there's a scene in the trailer where it shows it, where she hands a lightsaber to Leia.
Uh-huh.
If you recall that moment in the trailer. And it's implied that moment in the trailer... Well, some people had questions about where that came from. And it was supposed to be a scene where she went with them to the little rebel base or whatever, but she didn't end up going. And it's... Apparently, people know her because she's Force sensitive and she's really important, but she's absolutely not a Jedi.
Right.
And there was also another deleted scene because, like, apparently Leia and everybody knows who she is. And there was another deleted scene where the stormtroopers are attacking the base attacking her little like bar castle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're attacking, she's in that tunnel underneath, and she collapses it on top of them using the Force. So she absolutely has some sort of ability, but it's implied that she's sensitive, but isn't a Jedi.
But isn't a Jedi.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so let's see.
So she's a little bit more than a bartender, but
right, but yeah,
it's almost like that that thing where it's like, oh, let's go see the old gypsy woman who knows more about everything that's going on than anybody else and will never show up again.
Yeah, exactly. She's the wise person that. Remember that Monomyth movie that Glove and Boots did? She's the wise mentor person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
so is Han. He plays that role as well.
Yeah. Is your character some sort of genius or prodigy, and/or is unusually accomplished for her age, time period, place, occupation, and/or social status?
Absolutely.
Is in something that is extremely desirable and/or useful in the story's universe? Yes.
Yeah.
In something that is extremely difficult for virtually anyone to achieve?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is your character unusually accomplished or gifted in more than one area?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Does your character pick up new skills and/or gain ranks unusually fast during the course of the story?
Yeah.
To the point where she learns skills that usually take years to master in a matter of months or less.
I heard people justifying that by... Well, I saw this video of these guys who watched it right after.
Uh-huh.
And they were absolutely convinced that she is Luke's daughter. Like, they're like, there's no way she isn't Luke's daughter. Everybody knows she's Luke's daughter. We'll just accept that as fact right now. It's like, they've said nothing. They've said nothing about that. And they're like, well, this is fact or whatever. I was like, you're jumping to this conclusion without any information. They're like, well, they seem to kind of know who she is. I was like, where? They looked at her like funny? Is that what you're telling me? They gave her a funny look?
Well, the
but
thing
somehow
is that
she's immediately, no question whatsoever, oh yeah, she's Luke's daughter. We're all just going to embrace that she's Luke's daughter. When Luke showed up, he seemed like surprised and emotional, like, oh, I knew you from before or something. I was like...
He's surprised and emotional because someone shows up with a lightsaber on his doorstep, people.
Not only that, but he's prescient. He's a Jedi. He can kind of like... Maybe he knows who she is and where...
Maybe he's been expecting her for forever, and he realizes that now is the time for him to break his isolation.
They're using that, her being his daughter, as a way to justify her abilities.
But that doesn't justify her abilities in the slightest.
Well, what they're saying is she trained with Luke when she was young, and she doesn't remember it all because he wanted to hide her, because they were saying that because stuff went so south with Kylo... he didn't want his daughter to be involved in everything, so he hid her away on a planet so that she didn't have to do the whole crap Jedi thing. I fell off, and I lost a lot of souls too. So that she did. Well, that's the thing, though. That's a bad parent.
Yeah.
He abandons her on a desert planet, and they're like, well, maybe he's trying to put her through the same thing he went through. It's like, that's awful.
Luke wasn't abandoned on a desert planet.
Nobody's watching her whatsoever.
Yeah.
Let's just dump her here. She'll be fine. She's a Skywalker, whatever.
So does your character have any sort of power or ability that is unprecedented or unheard of among the people your character usually associates with?
She could end up being a Skywalker, let me be fair.
Yeah. She could.
But if she is, I'm actually going to dislike it. Because it's stupid. Like, they've done that before. It's such an obvious thing to do. Like, it would be more interesting if she was just some person.
They've kind of hinted at it in the trailer, I think, with the whole voiceover that Luke did. But that could be he's talking to Kylo Ren. It doesn't say...
Because somebody's like, well, this is a story about the Skywalkers. Why is she there? We are talking about the Skywalkers. Literally, Kylo Ren is there.
Is a Skywalker.
I think if she is, then it explains all of the massive plot holes in the movie. Well, a lot of them. Not all of them, but it explains a lot of them. If she is a Skywalker, if she is Luke's daughter. If she isn't, then Luke is... If she isn't, then there are huge plot holes, and nobody's going to answer for it. Because all of
Yeah.
a sudden, episode 7 is worse. Like,
That's
suddenly, that movie is not as good as you thought it was. And people just can't believe that that's how it's going to play out. So a lot of people are turning to episode 8 as the justification movie.
Which is stupid.
Like, this is going to explain everything. And you know what? When was the last time we did that? With the prequels. Because they're like, oh, well, episode 1 might not be that good, but, you know, this is setting up for other movies. This is a setup movie. Episode 2 might not be that good, but, you know, wait till episode 3 when he finally goes to the dark side.
Yeah.
And then we see episode 3 where, like, none of it justified anything.
Yeah.
Episode 3 did not make up for the other two terrible movies. We did that with The Hobbit. We were like, yeah, these were terrible, but I was like, wait until we see the third one. Because we don't know, because suddenly these might be setting up a really good story. And then we saw it, and it was like, it wasn't setting up a good story at all.
So moving on, let's see. Does your character have special abilities that can allow her to read almost anyone's thoughts and or memories instantly and with ease, with few to no limitations or chances of backfiring? Yep. Easily control another person with little or no possibility of resistance from the target? Yep. See or just know things without actually being there, with few to no limitations, chances of backfiring, or possibility of being blocked or discovered? Yeah. The last one I don't know about. It's easily purify or cleanse someone of long-running hate, selfish, evil darkness. That could be true, but we haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, that didn't come up in the movie.
Yeah, let's see. Does your character end up in a tight spot and turn out to have cool, yet completely unforeshadowed powers or skills that were dormant and or unknown before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Does your character have any other relatively unique, special powers, abilities that come in handy?
Yeah.
Totally. Are your character's powers so awesome that all or most of the major factions want to get your character on their side one way or another?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does your character succeed at virtually everything she tries? Yeah.
Oh, here's another example of why people believe... I keep dying, I'm distracted. Why people believe that she is Luke's daughter. Because I saw this video of people going, well, here's absolute proof. Because in the game, in the Disney Infinity game, in the child game, where they had the Force Awakens sort of part in it, where you go through a bit of the story in like the cartoony Disney way.
Right.
And there's a moment in there where Kylo Ren gets upset, and everybody swears up and down that Kylo Ren says cousin. Yeah, he says, "Get back here, cousin," or something like that. Where if you listen to it, he absolutely says curses.
Well, the thing is I listened to it, and the audio that I heard curses. But I can see why people would get cousin from it, because
they want to hear it. That's why.
They want to hear it, and it's kind of garbled.
Well, see, that's the problem, though. Ask yourself an honest question. Would J.J. Abrams and Disney overall release that information in a children's game on Disney?
No!
Of course they wouldn't. Why in the world are we believing this is absolute fact and confirmation? Why would they release it through Disney Infinity, of all places?
That's the dumbest thing, people.
Second of all, if that's how they did it, we're just embracing the stupidity of it.
Yeah.
Then we would also have to embrace the fact that a lot of people know that information, not just throughout the Disney corporation, but guys who made the game for some reason would have to know that as a fact. The voice actors, and nobody's come out and said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
Nobody's like embraced that. Like, there's been no like verbal leaks from anybody, and they're just like ignoring the fact that they put that in the game, when they would literally have to tell all these people that made the game, produced the game, did the voices for it, and they would literally have to tell people that, and nobody's come out and said anything. That's like hundreds of people, and nobody said a darn thing. It's like, oh yeah,
there would be so many leaks on this, people.
Yeah, nobody leaked.
So many leaks.
Nobody leaked and came out and said, oh yeah, J.J. Abrams totally showed up, and he's like, we want to set up continuity, and so we released information early to Disney Infinity, of all places.
Oh boy.
Like,
okay,
literally, you would have heard people tell you that, but nobody said a darn thing.
Okay, so let's see. Move on. Do the first plans, strategies, etc., ideas, etc., your character comes up with always or nearly always work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
She
Does your
flies
character?
the Millennium Falcon without being a pilot.
Right.
Better than almost anybody.
Yeah.
Just blows everybody away. She just
The thing
shows up and
is
just nails it.
let's say that she is. I mean, she does say something about being a pilot. Uh,
No,
Afterwards, I think.
no,
Um.
she didn't. She said literally, because that's one thing I do remember. She literally said, "I've never flown before."
Oh yeah.
Remember
Anyway.
that? Because they're
Yeah.
like arguing. It's like, we need to get out of here, and she's like, "I've never flown before." So she just tried and is like pulling off like awesome moves. And then I heard justification by, "Oh well, Anakin did the pod racing thing." I was like, hold on a minute. First of all, pod racing is way different than the other thing.
And
Second
second,
of all,
they
he's been
said
doing
he
it
was
for
a pod
quite some
racer.
time.
Yeah. Been doing it for a while. So, is anyone envious of your character's talents and/or abilities?
Yeah,
Because she beats them at their own game.
Kylo Ren. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's super pissed
Does
that she's as good as she is.
yeah. Does your character alone use a weapon that is famous or legendary before the character acquires it?
Yeah,
Yep. Is magical or has some sort of unique properties? Yeah.
yeah,
Do you often mention how special slash significant this weapon is?
yeah.
Yeah. Does your character possess a one-of-a-kind trinket or piece of jewelry that is magical and or has some special significance? Not really jewelry, but if we tie this back to the lightsaber, maybe.
If
But
you
it
can
could be
use
different.
because technically the weapon, if you can
Yeah.
do that, then they're both the same question. So no.
Well, then it will. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's see. Is your character some kind of chosen one, or or a major part of a prophecy?
Possibly, because
Possible.
I heard somebody speculate that if she's not Luke's daughter, then maybe she's the next manifestation of the Force, like Anakin was.
Right.
And I was like, well, okay, then she's absolutely the greatest person ever.
Does the prophecy involve saving the world slash realm?
Yeah, well, we don't know, but
That's true. But maybe
no
maybe
for
we'll,
no for now.
Yeah, maybe no for now on these ones, because the next one is, does the prophecy involve becoming a great leader? Is your character at the center of some grand cosmic design? Arguably, yes.
Yeah, arguably. Well, yes,
'Cause
absolutely. Because
Force.
we haven't actually heard specifics on that, but in the trailer, there's a suggestion by that tiny lady Maz or whatever
Uh-huh.
that something's happening in the Force, and she is a huge part of it. So the trailer would suggest that yes, there is something significantly happening, and she is the center of it.
Yeah. And the next
Or at
question
least a
is
big part of it.
somewhat related. Is your character some kind of cosmic keystone? So, is the character's...
Possibly, but we don't know what that means until later.
Well, it's like, is your character's very existence is somehow tied to the balance existence of the world, universe, whatever. So I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, the whole movie's called The Force Awakens.
Yeah. Let's see. Concerning your character's friends and acquaintances, is your character liked by nearly everyone she meets?
Yeah.
Yes. When your character makes new friends, does she ever feel like she's known them for years after just a few minutes or hours of talking to them, and or vice versa?
Literally, Finn wanted to run away with her after knowing her for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, let's leave together," and it's like, "I barely know you."
Uh-huh. Do most or all of your character's friends and buddies lead glamorous, exciting, and or interesting or highly dramatic lives?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what the funny thing is? Han immediately embraces these two characters without knowing anything about them. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, come with me, and I'll save everything," and blah blah blah. And I was
Are
like,
most...
"What motivation do you have for helping these morons?"
Yeah. Then this second one, or this next one, are most or all of your character's friends and buddies highly attractive by conventional standards?
Yeah.
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 When your character makes new friends, do they care about your character as much or even more than they care for friends they've had longer after knowing your character for only a short time? Han Solo gets like attached to her as if she were his daughter.
Yeah.
Would any of them die for your character? Han Solo did.
Yeah.
Even characters that are not known for their friendly, outgoing attitudes.
Finn actually repeatedly risked his life for her.
Yeah.
He didn't die, but he would have.
Yeah. Does any character who's normally portrayed as being cold, callous, or even cruel to others treat your character with warmth and kindness? What do you think?
Han, somewhat, yeah. Han is generally a cold character, but then he has those moments of, here's my gun. Have this gun because I need you to fight or whatever. And even then, she has like, well, I can take care of myself. He's like, I know you can. I was like, you don't know anything about her. And you're just handing her this gun like, you're the greatest person ever. You could take care of yourself. Here's this gun so you can help me out. I was like, you don't know her at all. What happened for him to give him that indication? That whole thing with the monster on the ship? They barely saw her. He was gone somewhere else when she was doing other things.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's see. Do characters who criticize or don't like your character from the start like her by the end, or at least have grudging respect? I would say that kind of applies to Kylo Ren.
Yeah, somewhat.
In this case. And or does anyone who criticizes or doesn't like your character end up getting beaten up, humiliated, or miserable and or dead?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are most, if not all, characters who don't like your character merely mean, shallow, spiteful, judgmental, and or jealous of her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Do other characters often quickly and readily put their own responsibilities, dreams, and lives on hold in order to help out your character, and or quickly and readily engage in illegal or risky activity to help your character?
Yeah.
Even when there are innocent people who would or could be hurt by the other character's selfish actions? I don't know about that one, though.
Even if... Yeah, well, Finn has a plan to leave, and he drops everything when she's in trouble.
Right, but it's... if she has a plan that would hurt other people, they would still help
even out. If that's not a guarantee, that's a qualifier.
I guess that's true.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Let's see.
Could be, but it's not doesn't have to be for the question.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's see. I don't know if this one. Okay, so this is family. Was your character orphaned, abandoned, kicked out, or at least raised by a family person that was not her own family?
Yes, to a cliched degree.
Was she adopted by a cruel family or person? Sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Raised by herself? Yes.
Uh-huh.
The very last survivor of anything? Possibly. She could be the last survivor of her family. I mean, we have no idea what happened to her family.
She could just be some random person.
Yeah.
I actually like the mystical idea of her just, like the Force deciding to use her to influence the world again, and the Force just going like, we need a strong Force user, and she's going to be my person. Like, I like that idea more.
Yeah.
Than her being, it's another Skywalker. So
another Skywalker. Okay, so the next ones kind of go together. Lived alone on the streets during childhood and or early teen years, sort of. And then lived alone in the wilderness during childhood and or early teen years, yes. Yeah, I think they kind of both apply, because she kind of lived on the outskirts of this desert planet.
And then she would go into town.
Yeah. And then adopted by another species/racial group. She was the only human on the planet.
Was she?
Well, only human in her area, I think. I think all the rest of them were like totally.
I didn't spend a lot of time paying attention to normal humans. I either looked at the cool-looking aliens or her, because she was a good character in the scenes.
Okay, born and raised in extreme poverty. Yes. Banished from anywhere. Possibly.
We don't know.
Banished she was dropped on the planet. Don't know if banished.
Banished from her parents.
Yeah. Let's see. Physically abused and or bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole, like, lowering how much, like, she could get for scrap and stuff just because, like, he can get away with it, because he's the only place she can go for money.
Yep. If your character has to prove herself, does she completely own anyone else and make them look like buffoons in the process?
Like, immediately, she just destroys the stormtrooper.
Uh-huh. Let's see.
Without any training, Finn just gets destroyed. To be fair, though, stormtroopers do not have a long track record of being great. Like, clones have a long track record of being awesome. Stormtroopers do not.
Does a major villain have a personal fixation/obsession with your character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. The next two I'm going to skip because they don't really apply to her, I think. Let's see. Does the villain or assassin who is otherwise perfectly competent at killing or neutralizing people try to take on your character but fails at it for no apparent or explained reason.
Yes.
Despite taking on and defeating characters who are ostensibly just as, if not more competent than your character.
He destroyed all of the other Jedi that Luke was training.
That were trained.
And
all
of them. Like
she takes him out
ones.
untrained. So let's see. Does your character play a major and pivotal role in saving a world race or group to which she did not belong at the beginning of the story?
Yeah.
Yes. Does your character start out on the side of a group or faction at odds? No. Does she become one of the leaders? Kind of.
Yeah, I would say.
This one doesn't apply to you or me, but it applies to people who like Rey. Do you feel insulted, attacked, or defensive when someone does not like your character?
They certainly do.
Yep. Did you feel that this test insulted or attacked you or your character so far? I'm going to say yes.
Most people would. Yeah.
If people don't like your character, do you believe it's just because they don't get her or that they're just jealous of your character?
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so we're going to skip the fan fiction. I'm going to give you a total now of Rey's score so far. She's at 126.
Okay, so not as high as you originally had, but still.
No, but
high.
we unchecked a couple things and okay. So let's see. Is your character's name a variation, pun, or synonym of a canon character? No.
We don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's Rey. I don't think Luke or Leia or Han or Chewie. Anakin.
Remember that really important manta ray in episode 2 or whatever? Remember that guy?
that thing, yeah.
Yeah, he was really important.
Let's see. Does the arc/story pretty much center around her, or is she the main source of conflict in this? Yes.
Yeah.
Does the character share a notable physical characteristics with a canon character, or at least have one that is remarkably similar? Yeah. Does your character share a disability or neurological condition?
I don't know. Too much time in them Star Destroyers that are wrecked.
Yeah. Is your character basically your favorite character from the original work, only more like you or how you wish you were somehow?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think that
she's basically Luke from the original.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be Luke.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Was your character trained in some art or by or with a canon character? I'm going to go with yes.
Will be in the second one, without a doubt.
Does your character share tastes or hobbies with a canon character?
I don't know, the Force.
The Force...
we're both super into the Force.
Yeah, let's see.
Not dying.
We don't know about this one. Is your character... if your character is a child of one or more canon characters. We don't know about that one yet.
I hope not.
If the last question did not apply...
But anybody that says that it's a guarantee, without a doubt, she's Luke's daughter, I'm going to say bullcrap on that.
So does your character have a capability asset that for intents and purposes is identical to one had by a canon character? Yes. She has access to the Force, like Luke. If your character's capability asset is identical or near identical, does it work even better or more efficiently than a canon character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it deliberately chosen to complement or contrast with that or those of a canon character? Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Does your character's capabilities allow her to do the same job or fill the same role as a canon character? Yes. Allow the canon character the ability to do something that they did in the original story? Yes.
Galaxy.
Does your character have the capability assets of multiple canon characters? She's an awesome pilot like Han Solo, and she has the Force like Luke. Does your character belong to or join the Resistance, Rebellion, Elite, or any other group? Yes. She wasn't a member of this group without knowing it. Your character was deliberately sought out to join the group? No, not really. Does she specifically join the team that the canon characters belong to? Yes. Accepted as one of the gang quickly and easily with no complaints or reluctance? Yes.
Yeah. Nobody asks a darn question.
No.
Like, she's just there, and they're like, "Oh, welcome aboard. Here's the keys to, like, the Death Star.
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, the Millennium Falcon. You're in charge. Nobody's going to say a word."
At any point, does your character take over the job/position of a canon character? Pilot of the Millennium Falcon!
She takes over for Han.
Uh-huh. And possibly for Luke later. Does your...
I'm going to be bummed out if Luke doesn't have a bigger role.
In the next one?
I want him to be super important, because maybe it's because I don't care as much about the new characters now.
So, let's see. Do you think that it's a fun
if Luke
position?
doesn't show up and just own a bunch of people, I'm going to be pissed.
Let's see. So this, it says it's in reference to taking over the job/position of a canon character. Do you think that? Well, I don't know. Let's skip that one. Does the character take over this job permanently? I'm going to say yes. It's going to happen. Is your character closely related to a canon character? We don't know so far.
Yet.
Yet. Is your character... Let's see. Does your character need a canon characters to help work past her problems and traumas? Most likely.
Yeah.
Well, she had Han Solo there who convinced her not to go to back.
Well, no. It was Han Solo who helped her get off the flippin' planet.
Yeah. And then Luke is going to help in the next movie. So does the canon character have to reorganize her schedule or set back other projects or personal goals to make time? Yes.
Yeah.
Has a canon character never been shown as
literally,
the type of person to try to reach out and help people this way? I would say yes.
Literally, Han changed his plan of where he was going to drop them off at the Resistance or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so has the canon character never been shown as the type of person to try to reach out and help people this way?
He's done it before, but it's sort of a rare part of his character.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it frequent.
Do any of the main characters look up to your character? What do you think?
Everybody looks up to her.
Yeah. As a leader?
No. Gosh dang it.
No.
I didn't hit that button. Nobody saw it.
Let's see, minor canon characters. Let's see, this says how many major canon characters fall for or are attracted to your character.
Fall for so romantically.
Must
I
be romantically,
the question is
but
implied, so one. Maybe.
Well,
we don't know. Like Poe or whatever his name is could be super into her in the next movie.
But is Finn a canon character now?
No.
Well, yeah, he is actually.
Is he?
Well, Force Awakens is now canon.
Oh yeah.
Minor canon characters fall in love with. I don't know.
Besides Finn, I wouldn't
Well, he's major, not minor. And how many major canon characters does your character fall for, is attracted to? I would say at least Finn.
At least.
At least. Does your character fall in love with or become the significant other? Well, we don't know yet. Don't know yet. Assuming, does she hang out with the canon characters more than their own friends or peers? Let's see.
She didn't really have any friends.
Yeah.
The robot.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna skip to the de-suifiers. So these are the things that might disqualify her as a Sue. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get that because she's at 184 right now. Do you ever poke fun of your character's faults, weaknesses, or use them as plot devices or gags? No.
No.
Has your character ever been honestly selfish, petty, lazy, shallow, or pointlessly cruel?
No.
No. Is your character really and honestly overweight and stays overweight throughout the entire story?
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the next movie, she's just really bummed out, and like literally episode 8, she shows up and she's just fat.
She been eating.
Yeah. Fat Ray.
That'd
be hilarious.
Is your character honestly ugly and stays ugly throughout the entire story? No. Does your character get into a fight or rush into a situation without preparing for it and get her butt completely owned? No. Is your character out of shape and stays out of shape for the entire story? No. Is your character
Well,
physically
wait a
disabled?
second. No, I was thinking of the moment when she got captured, like getting into a situation, like running headlong that she can't handle and then failing.
Right.
But she really wasn't intending to deal with the stormtroopers she was fleeing from.
Yeah, it's not like Luke in episode 6 where he goes to confront Vader at the or not episode 5, excuse me, where he goes to
It was
confront
Luke in
Vader.
every moment in the original trilogy.
Yes.
When they went to the first Death Star, when he went to go confront Vader before his training was finished, when he went to go confront Vader the second time, and then Return of the Jedi. Literally, he was running headlong into situations he should not come out of.
Is your character physically disabled, has nothing to make up for it, and stays disabled? No. Is she truly mentally
Unless you
disabled
count
in some way?
attractiveness.
Yeah, and has.
It's
let's
a
see.
curse. It's a problem I've been dealing with my whole
To
life.
quote Dr. Merlin, anyone who says she's so pretty that it's a disability because everyone hates her or wants to have sex with her will be summarily keelhauled. So, no, that's not a disability. Is your character human? Over 40 years old and looks her age? No. Older than 60?
Hilarious.
No.
40-year-old Rey. Like I am super attracted by the idea of making main characters that are old.
Yeah.
The book I'm writing, I planned on making the main character like in his 60s. I'm sick and tired of every story being some 20-year-old like teeny bopper or whatever, like super attractive.
Your character have a truly debilitating phobia that does not disappear at a crucial moment?
Success.
No. Has your character ever run away from anything simply because she was a coward? No.
No.
Finn ran away.
She does have that debilitating problem and phobia of not of losing.
Yeah.
Which is why she wins constantly.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm super afraid of not being the best, so I'm just the best.
If your character had a bad past with her parents/guardians, does she reconcile with them, or at the very least come to a sort of peace or a new understanding with them at any point?
Maybe eventually.
Maybe. Does your character lack education in something that's considered basic knowledge or basic skill among the people she usually associates with, and it causes legitimate problems and challenges for your character?
No, she knows advanced, like, mechanical engineering more than the average person should.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
She's just really good at technology for no good reason.
Has your character ever faced a problem she had no way of overcoming on her own and had to rely on others for help?
No.
No. Did she ever
Literally, she saved herself from torture on the greatest base ever created in the history of evil.
Uh-huh.
She literally just escaped on her own and, like, climbed out. Like,
did she give... Yeah.
If this character wasn't written as a girl power character, I don't know who was.
Exactly. So... The next two, did she give up without trying, or did she give up after failing? No. If she eventually found a way to overcome a problem that initially seemed hopeless, was it extremely difficult and or took a really long time? No, she practically got out of Starkiller Base, like you said, by herself.
Yeah, she didn't need anybody to rescue her. Like, and I think that was sort of a snub of like, oh, the princess needs rescuing. Literally, she saved herself, and that sort of women empowerment moment.
I mean, Leia did have help from Luke and Han Solo, but she did a lot of stuff herself.
Yeah, but she was a powerful character. She was vulnerable because she needed help, and she was strong because she could
take charge of the situation.
Yeah, she could take charge. She is a stronger, better written female character than Rey is. Period.
Okay, so the next one, does Rey did she question the morality of her actions? No. Character suffer post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of everything? No. Is your character ever manipulated or used as an unwitting pawn? No. Has your character ever misjudged someone else and discovered she was wrong about that person, and that person didn't become a love interest or best friend? No. Does your character ever admit to being wrong, even if she doesn't really mean it? No. Has your character ever ignored...
She's never been wrong in her entire life, as far as I know.
ignored wrongdoings against herself and or others because she simply didn't want to get into trouble? No. Does your character act in odd or awkward ways that other people find strange and confusing rather than endearing? And these people aren't called or portrayed as foolish/stupid because of it? No.
No.
Is your character, if your character's not all or partially human, no. Is your character a vampire? No. Your character royal? No.
That would be a twist. Ray the vampire.
Yeah. Do you view your characters more like tools than friends/children? I would say no. Do you spend days, if not months, carefully and thoughtfully researching any of the following so you could write them realistically? So types of abuse, your character, and the long-term effects that can come from it, the long-term effects that can come from any other traumatic experience your character faced, the types of psychological disorder or mental illness, any other severe hardship. I would say no, that didn't happen.
No.
Do you take care?
I mean, there is some psychological trauma from being left alone.
True, but did they research it for months, carefully and thoughtfully?
Read the question again.
It's, did you spend days, if not months, carefully and thoughtfully researching any of the following so you could try to write them as realistically and sensitively as possible?
I'm absolutely sure that they did.
Okay.
When they wrote her character, they spent a lot of time, and I think they were trying to give her that traumatic backstory to make her more relatable on purpose.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
I guarantee you that's why they wrote her that way.
We'll give them that one too. Any other severe hardship your character has faced, so we'll take those two. Do you take care that your character's personal hardships and traumas aren't presented as uniquely or more horrible or worthy of pity than absolutely anyone else's, and or make sure other characters' problems don't take a back seat?
We don't know the perspective of those who wrote the movie.
Right.
So I don't know.
But would you consider that her personal hardships and traumas were presented as more unique, more horrible, more worthy of pity than anyone else in the movie?
Intentionally, I think they portrayed it as being unique, like she was abandoned.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we'll give him that one. So, at the end of all this, and I know it took a long time, but after all these questions, and I'll put the link so that you guys can go over it yourself, and maybe you'll come up with a different result, but 0 to 5 points means that this person is not a Mary Sue. Definitely not. 5 to 16 points is a low chance that the character is a Mary Sue. 17 to 21 points, low to moderate chance. 22 to 29, moderate to high chance. 30 to 35, high to very high. 36 to 49, extremely high. 50 plus, your character is a Mary Sue, and a bad one. Ray scored a total.
The worst Mary Sue character ever written.
Ray scored a Mary Sue total of 181 people. 181.
I'm disappointed she didn't get into the twos.
We might be able to go back and after the second movie, fill in some of the blanks and see if we can get it higher.
Add more of this. She secretly is the daughter of Luke Skywalker. Yeah, I would absolutely say making this brand new main character who wins at everything the daughter of one of the canonically awesome characters to be a ridiculously Mary Sue characteristic.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So I think that all the people who keep saying that she's not a Mary Sue, and
we should find that Kotaku article and see what he has to say about it.
Seriously. You guys either you're not understanding what a Mary Sue is,
or
and you
blindly don't want to know,
or you're blindly you're just in denial about this. She is a Mary Sue. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean,
if she's a well-written Mary Sue, that would be.
Yeah, the thing is that the reason that people write Mary Sues is so they can see themselves in the story and they can get lost in the story. If she's person,
the I win character.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's such a strong Mary Sue that you can't really see yourself as her. It's just she's you can't identify with her. She's not a realistic person.
I found it hard to care because there was nothing that threatened her in the least. Everything she ran into, there was no threat to her. There was no danger when she showed up at things. Everything I looked at, I was like, she's not in trouble.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why she's such
a bad
Mary Sue. It's not because having a Mary Sue is a bad thing. It's just like Rhett said, if it's a well-written Mary Sue, then you can identify more closely with the character and you can see yourself in the character. You get lost in the story much more quickly and easily because you identify with that person. But we can't identify with Rey, and because she's too good. Anyway, we've gone quite a bit over time. Do you want to try to do the tournament?
Up to you.
Let's see.
Mr. Lord of the Part B.
Yeah. Well, we should probably do it so we can keep going ahead with it. So this week we have, let's try to, well, hopefully we can make this relatively painless and quick. We have Sonic versus Cloud Strife. Sonic the Hedgehog versus Cloud Strife. What do you think?
Cloud.
That's my gut instinct as well. Sonic is very
I don't
fast.
want it to be that. Sonic's... like, if Sonic was Supersonic, I would second guess. But Cloud is one of those... gets to the point where he's too powerful. He gets to the, like, Goku level at points.
Yeah. He is a bit of an overpowered character in this instance. Sonic the Hedgehog, like I said, he's fast, but that's mainly all he's got going for him.
He's extremely fast. Extremely fast, and he beats characters based off his speed. A lot of what he can do is almost to the ridiculous degree.
True.
Like, he runs on water. That's how fast he is.
True. Very true. The thing is that Cloud is fast enough with his sword to block bullets.
Yeah. See, that's the problem, though.
Yeah. So, with his mystical abilities and things, I think that Sonic comes out the loser in this one and Cloud moves on. So Cloud Strife moves on, and he will face in his next matchup Strider.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's
a more even fight.
Yeah, it is definitely a more even fight. The next combat that we have to go through, Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden faces off against Mike Hagar.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. I think if I put that up on Comic Vine, that I'm gonna get a lot of Ryu Hayabusa wins, just because people are.
Yeah, people know Ryu a lot better.
Yeah.
Or Ryu.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for the podcast tonight. Anything you want to leave them with?
In this time of strife and depression, just remember, it's okay if you are way over into a character that is just poorly written.
You can totally like Rey. We're not saying that. We're just saying that she's a Mary Sue, people. Anyway,
she's not a great character. I think she's built in such a way that little girls will love her. I think at least a lot of them will.
That's true.
And it's a sort of force-wielding, lightsaber-wielding female character. And a lot of people are going to go, oh, well, this is the first real cool one we've ever seen in the movies. And I was like, well, they had female masters in the prequels.
Yeah.
And they had that Anakin's apprentice. Who was in a internationally released movie and had her own show. Not only that, but all of the extended universe stuff. There's so many Bastila
Shan. What's her name? That's in Force Unleashed. I forget what her name is.
Anyway, Satele. She was Bastila's like great granddaughter or whatever she is. Remember, she was literally in charge of the Jedi Order.
Right.
In the Old Republic.
In the Old Republic, in the comic book, yeah.
Well, in the video game, in the MMO.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and she kicked so much trash.
Yeah.
She just.
Oh, that's right. She's the one that's in all the cutscene videos and stuff, or the trailer videos.
Yeah,
yes.
with the double-bladed blue lightsaber.
Yes, that
where
one.
She
yeah.
just messes up
awesome.
what's his name.
Totally takes that guy out.
She literally over force powers him with like a force push and just blasts him through a giant like rock wall. She shoves him into it and then blows him through the thing. The reason why he has to have that cool like breath mask is because he can't breathe right anymore because she messed him up.
She totally messed him up.
So there are great, awesome female characters, and she was fantastic in the game and in a lot of the stuff. She was a strong female character.
Yes.
So a lot of people are looking at this. We have to defend her. She's the first strong female character in Star Wars, when the rest of us are going, we've been a part of Star Wars for a while.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to have another black guy. There was only one in the originals. And I was like, there were quite a few in the past. So, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's like that mentor character in Knights of the Old Republic. What's his name? You find him on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, I remember. Jolie Bindo.
Yeah, Jolie Bindo. Great character. He was black.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get bent out of shape about gender and race is when it means too much to you. Is when all it means to you is the gender and race, rather than this is a great character.
Yep.
Well written, and I like them. And if that's why you like Rey, then I don't care. Like her. It's awesome.
Yep.
Like her for all that she's worth.
One last thing, and this comes because Rhett reminded me of it. So there's a boycott of the Oscars. Did you hear about that?
I don't know if we want to get into this.
I just want to say this is totally ridiculous. And anyway, there's no black nominees in the Oscars this year. So there's a boycott, and Chris Rock, who is doing the hosting for the Oscars, is now rewriting his monologue as a form of... He's still doing it. He's still going to be the host, but he's rewriting his monologue to highlight this injustice.
I've seen black actors come out and say, no, they're not racist. I've seen black actors come out and say they absolutely are racist. I don't care. I don't care about the Oscars, period. So whatever they want to care about...
Completely moronic people.
This means nothing to me. But it's like Idris Elba came out and said, no, they're not racist at all. He actually said that he left England because he couldn't get any main roles as a black man. And he came here, and all he did was get main roles.
Yeah.
Like, he's constantly in massive movies. He was in Prometheus. He was in... The Wire. He was in
Thor.
He was in
both
Thor,
of them.
Both the Thors. He's Heimdall. He was in Pacific Rim.
Yep.
He's constantly in massive, huge movies. He was in Luther, which was a British show, so it doesn't really count. So he came out and said, no, I couldn't get any major roles as a black man in England.
He's going to be in Finding Dory, Star Trek Beyond, The Jungle Book, Bastille Day, whatever that's supposed to mean.
But he said he's constantly been in stuff. And then Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, a very liberal woman, came out and said, no, they're not racist because I got an Oscar. And I was like, okay. The only thing she did say, which might be a fair point, is they're not getting enough roles for black individuals that would be garnering Oscar quality work. That would be
Oscar-worthy roles, yeah. I mean,
which might be fair, but I don't know because I don't monitor that sort of thing in Hollywood,
right.
So I don't care. The last few movies I've seen have involved a huge... I mean, I've been watching The Wire, and like 90% of that's black people. So I don't know what to tell you.
I know. Anyway, that's it for the
great show.
That's it for the podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and if you didn't, let us know, and we won't care. But if you listen, we are willing to listen to your arguments as to why Rey is not Mary Sue. Tell us what your justifications are. That's it. Well, that's what we want to know. So
Great.
that's it for the podcast tonight. Later.
Bye.